Yeah, looks like I'm about to be live on. All right, I am live. All right, for anybody out there on the YouTubes. Oh, I gotta pause this. I'm hearing my own. I'm hearing my own stuff on YouTube. Okay, I don't live stream on YouTube enough. I forgot that it does that. It's kind of a weird thing. All right, so we've got some people jumping in here. I'm gonna rehost you, Eddie. Then I'm live on YouTube. All right, so I'm trying to keeps moving on me. All right, so everybody, this is I'm Brandon, the CEO and founder of the Mortgage Growth System. If you're out there on YouTube right now and you're seeing this being streamed live, I will try if possible to watch for questions. However, I won't be able to hear you anything. The best thing I usually recommend people do is jump on our actual Zoom call that's going on, that's streaming to YouTube at the moment, and to ask questions that way. You can get the link simply by going to Meet Brandon Live .com. So that's MEEP, BrandonLive.com. And you just click a button, you'll be right in the Zoom call. And I will definitely answer your questions if you have any about the mortgage growth system, our mortgage marketing system, our lead gen process, our tech, our CRM, our coaching, our appointment setter team, the whole 9 yards. I'll answer questions about anything. And I do see that we have a couple of people that have joined this call already. In chat, if you don't mind, I see we have a Jay Splendido and Oz. You guys let us know have you talked to anybody on our team yet? Just so I know. It is 4:04, so I'll probably get into our thing here in just one more minute. So I'm just kind of curious. Sometimes we have people join these calls who've not talked to anybody, and that's totally fine. We can help people with those. A lot of times, yep. So I see one person said, yeah, it looks like both the people on that mention right now have talked with Jake. Cool. So real quick, what I usually do is I just do a quick overview of like our program so you can hear kind of the way I explain it and talk about it. And then I'll open up the mics and start asking some or answering questions that you have, if you have any. So let me get that going here real quick so I can get onto my screen. I'll take a drink quick. All right. So hopefully you can now see my screen. I believe that should be the case. I like to turn my little clicker into a red button here so you can kind of see through. So either way, what I'm looking at here is I just like to briefly do a quick explanation, high level explanation of like what we do and all that stuff. If you ever go to our website, mortgagegrowthsystem.com, there'll be a button that says either demo or what we do. If you click that, that's actually where I'm at on our website right now. So I'm just right on our website. But real quick, you can see right at the top level here, we do consider ourselves more than being lead generators, 360-degree mortgage process. And then you can see some stats here, which we actually do need to update. We've definitely helped fund well over 3 billion in loans at this point, generated closer to about 2 million leads. We've absolutely worked with well over 2,000 loan officers, and we've been doing this since 2016. So as far as I'm aware, that makes us the oldest mortgage marketing agency out there, at least that does the type of marketing that we do. So anyway, I'm going to get into the explanation of what we do. Anyway, so like I said, I don't view us as just being a lead gen type place. We really base everything we do on 3 pillars. So that's opportunities, systems, and processes, coaching, and support. I'm going to break each of those down because I think they're really important now. It's obviously true, a large part of what we do is from the generation of long form exclusive leads for our clients. So yes, we are a direct consumer mortgage marketing agency. And that is a big part of our focus, but that's not the end all be all. That's where everything starts, because after that, one of the key pieces in the process is systems and processes. So again, we've been doing this a real long time. We've worked with thousands of loan officers. What I know to be true, without a doubt, is that if you're trying to handle leads manually, that is very, very difficult. I would never recommend that for anyone. And so over the years, we've refined our systems and processes for automated lead follow-up to help you build trust, minimize effort, maximize results. So that's definitely a key piece of what we do with our clients. And in fact, I would say the largest portion of the time we spend working with clients is really around this, because at the end of the day, this is where the conversions and stuff happen. That kind of actually ties me into pillar 3, which are coaching and support. So we're really big on making sure you get the kind of support you need. So we like to think of ourselves as an agency that is teaching you how to convert online leads. Even over the 7+ years that we've been doing this, we've definitely noticed different trends with the way what is required to convert leads. It has become a little bit more difficult than it used to be in the past, but our strategies have always been adapting to this, and we have a really, really refined process. And that's why we do all this coaching. So what we do every week is we have 6 hours of live Zoom coaching calls, so we can teach you not only how to use our systems, automations, and things of that nature, but also how to speak to leads, understanding lead psychology, understanding marketing, helping you understand objections, things of that nature, and many other things. In fact, a lot of times as our clients begin working with us longer and longer, they get really adapted to the whole process of converting leads and they get good at it. And then what we start doing is teaching them more about what they can do with systems and processes. So we kind of actually start to flip backwards to pillar 2 and show people how they can really maximize software, which I think is really critical these days. I think a lot of people are starting to hear about AI and things of that nature. And we want to make sure that like our clients are on the cutting edge and with technology as well, because it really streamlines a lot of what they do. Now, here's a few other things I like to point out is we also have, this opportunity amplification or referral amplification process. So if you're looking at our programs for home buyer leads, we have something that we call the agent stacking process right here. It's where you're taking advantage of this very important number right here, which is that 95% of the leads generated, they don't have a realtor yet. So this gives you a lot of power as a loan officer to be able to create referral partnerships with your realtors. What you may not know is that most realtors never receive a referral from a loan officer. And so by you being able to generate leads that you can refer back their direction, this gives you a lot of leverage. It makes you unique. It is a real, a value add, if you will. It's a lot better than telling realtors, I'll take you out to coffee or trying to tell them about some programs you have or things of that nature. You can literally call people, realtors you've never worked with before, and say, hey, I have a lead. Or you want to talk with me? Do you want to work with me? And you're going to get a yes the vast majority of the time. On top of that, too, we also have an in-house team of appointment setters. So the fact of the matter is, while all our automations and such are super good, there's no doubt about it. They're constantly getting updated and refined. The fact of the matter is, making real human phone calls at the end of the day does have to happen if you want to convert at the highest level. Sometimes that's difficult to do. Sometimes you don't have all the time in the world to make that happen. And I understand that. So that's what our in-house trained appointment setters do. It's a month-to-month service. Some of our programs include it. It's just included with it. Other ones, it's an add-on service. So anybody who's in our programs can use this. And in fact, they're even a standalone service. So if you wanted to use it and weren't using any of our other programs, you could. It's month to month. We have reps that speak English and Spanish. So now a lot of people are curious about how do we generate the leads. So we're big fans of the Meta platform. It is by and far the #1 used advertising platform on the world because it's the best. And when I say it's #1, I mean, it's even more, there's more ad dollars that go to it than TV, YouTube, Google, anything under the sun. It is the king of all advertising platforms. But our process is important to point out. So when we're doing this, we're going to advertise you, essentially, the whole process, right? It's going to come from your Facebook page or your Instagram page, and it's going to go to landing pages that are branded with you. It's all got all your information, your license numbers, compliance information, everything on it. So we're doing that both for license, compliance reasons, but also for that brand and trust awareness element that is critical for these days when you're trying to convert leads. The other thing that we do, which is not the case for a lot of other options out there, is we do make leads complete a long form questionnaire. So that means you're going to answer 10 to 15 questions, giving you all the answers that you need to know, about helping them, like things like income, what kind of home are they buying, when are they buying, credit scores, things of that nature, all the key pieces of information you need to know. This is also important for another thing I'm going to talk about in a second. But anyway, once a lead fills this out, if they do appear to be qualified, they can actually schedule a call with you. We do have quite a few leads that just schedule their own call with you, which makes it a lot easier to convert the lead if they've already committed to speaking with you at an XYZ time. So after that, though, besides that, because we did collect this long form information, we have the ability to automatically classify and qualify the leads within the CRM. So we're segmenting them before they even get to the CRM. So that way you can see who is the more qualified folks and who's the lesser ones. So you don't waste a bunch of time on people that you probably can't help at this point in time. Last thing is the CRM, as I've talked a lot about automations and things of that nature. Yes, they can do everything that you would expect. Text, video, not video text, but like image text, emails, ringless voicemails, video emails, you name it. It does everything you'd expect. We also now have an amazing speed dialer that is finally rolling out right as we speak, that will streamline your whole process, make calls a lot faster. It does more things. We actually just integrated direct mail with it. I mean, it's amazing. It's an amazing system. On top of that, we actually already have about 80 campaigns, a little more than 80 campaigns for leads from any source, basically. So if you have leads from other sources, maybe a realtor gave you a list of leads you bought last year, leads coming in from XYZ place. We have campaigns already ready to go for you right in the program. So if you do go to this webpage, you can see this, what I just explained in a flow chart. I won't explain it here because that literally is the same thing I just said. And then I'll talk about our program options real quick. Essentially, the way we look at it is we have two categories: done for you and done with you. And I'll briefly explain each of those. As you can see, they do start at $2,800 or $230 per month. And I'll talk about that $230 per month thing as well. But anyway, so the two big categories: done for you and done with you. When you are in our done for you program, that basically means you're renting the system from us. Right? That means all the software, the automations, all the things of that nature. If you're with the done with you program, you own the system. And that's why we say own the system right here. And what's cool about that is we're giving you a system that will generate leads for you without paying us or any other agency or lead seller or anything like that recurring fees. You would still have some advertising costs and software costs, but none of those fees go to us. Now, the big key, I think, that a lot of people like to go with done for you is if they're on bigger teams where it's more complicated. They want to plug and play real quick, get leads, not worry about owning a system, not worry about having their own software. They just want to start talking to people, creating those opportunities. We also have the best guarantees over there: pre-approval guarantees and lead quantity guarantees. And then done with you, it is more flexible and economical for a lot of reasons. And a lot of times we'll get to that during the questioning part of this call. But it does also offer a 30-day money back guarantee, which we don't on the done for you side of things. So that's kind of the high level breakdown. I do have a video where I get a little bit deeper into it all here. And if you happen to go to this page, we actually have more FAQs that are commonly asked as well. So a few other things I'm going to just show you, excuse me, real quick. On the website are, first off, we have these FAQs. So they are what like they sound. I have longer video versions of our common frequently asked questions. So good handful of those here. They'll take, I also have even more than this on our YouTube channel. So if you're not following me on YouTube, you can just look me up, Brandon Robertson, or any of these videos will come up, and they're actually all on YouTube, and you can find it that way as well. The last thing is we also have in a section where you can look at a lot of our case studies. So these are all interviews with loan officers where we're actually talking to them about their experience and the results. And there's a brief description of what each one's like. So there's quite a few on here that you can review. And I think the last thing is, since we get a lot of questions about, let me see what page, where did I take it at? Okay, there we are. We get a lot of questions about like how we, this option that's as little as $230 per month. Basically, this is a cool program. What this does is basically we pair you up with a finance company that we work with. They get you a loan, and you pay for our entire program, and you only pay a few $100 per month. It is typically going to be the course over 2 or 3 years. They even have longer terms. Nobody pays anything for the first 30 days. That's cool. There are no prepayment penalties, because marketing does take a little bit of time for it to do its best work, for it to really start producing results. That's the whole reason why we offer this, is so that you have a runway, a financial runway, if things are financially tight for you and you want to participate in our programs. I can get deeper into this, but I think I've gone on long enough. I do want to stop, basically describing all this and see what kind of questions we might have. Looks like we still have just the 2 people. That's fine. And you guys both came in about the same time. So let me just, I think Oz, maybe you were on here 5 seconds earlier. So let me see what questions you might have. Oz, if you want to unmute, let me know, and then we can.
Brandon, I appreciate you, but yeah, actually, I went through your website pretty detailed, so everything was explained. So I don't have any questions. So
okay, cool. And you said you talked to Jake, so
right, yeah,
he probably, yeah, he's been here a long time, so he knows 99% of everything about what we do. So sometimes. A lot of times I can answer questions that are maybe a little deeper, or sometimes people have really, really technical questions. And if you don't have any, it's totally cool. But if they come up, just let me know.
Well, I do. Let's for DSCR programs. So focus would be only on single family homes, or multifamily can be focused as well?
It's really kind of whatever you want. Most of our clients do multifamily, for sure.
Okay.
So yeah, that's a very, very custom program. So it's really across the board. It's just for anybody out there, and this may apply to the Jay Splendido as well. Is that we basically do real estate investment products, and that could be DSCR, could be hard money, short money, private money, lines of credit, you name it, like commercial even. So we have different construction. I mean, you name it. Like we have people that do different things, and we just customize their marketing to whatever it is they can do or like doing or specialize in. So it's really the whole gamut of that. When we say non-QM, I always just want to be clear that we're not marketing those things that are outside of real estate investment, like the I-10 and stuff like that. Not to say that we couldn't. That's just not really the specialty that we go after. So does that kind of answer that?
Yes, yes. And then your focus is only on Meta, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. So we're Meta. So I should have said that. Meta, for those who aren't familiar out there, it's Facebook, Instagram. They have a couple other platforms, but those are the two big boys that they own for sure. So.
Gotcha. Thanks, Brandon. I'm good now.
Okay, awesome. Thanks for your question, Jay. I'm going to call you Jay because that's what Splendido. Hopefully, I'm saying your name good enough or close enough. Do you have questions? If you do, feel free to unmute. I'd love to answer your questions. Hopefully you didn't walk away.
No, I'm here.
Okay.
It's Joe Splendido.
Okay, Joe. Okay.
And, my daughter put this in here, and I don't know how it works, so I can't change it. Anyhow, we're a long-established company. We've done a lot of business through the, pretty much what I'll call the call center channel, using Zillow, Bankrate, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I have a team of 3 guys, with, combined experience, probably 70 or 80 years in doing call center, even just call center type business. And I'm trying to see, the Zillow stuff has been sketchy at best for literally going on probably the last 12 months. There's a lot of activity, but no real pull through, partly because they're not finding houses, that kind of thing. The other part is the contact rate is very, very low. Same thing with Bankrate. And it's really a new phenomenon over the last, I want to say 12 months, that it's going down that low, because we had it down to an art where we were getting 1 in 5 transactions at one point before the pandemic. And during the pandemic, we were getting 1 out of 2. So I'm looking for a new source, and I'm hoping that your stuff can be that. But I have a team, and I'm not sure how to apply the team, and we're also in about 8 states. So is there a way to do that effectively?
There is. Yeah. I'll talk to you about that. So one of the things too, that before I get into how the team stuff would work, I will talk to you about like probably what you're experiencing with Zillow and Bankrate and stuff of that nature. I did kind of allude to a little bit, like converting leads and working leads has definitely changed quite a bit. There's a lot of just differences with the environment. And I think this is where places like that, where you're buying leads who they're not really building like a trust with you up front, or even like really, they don't have really any systems to build trust for you. You're going to have more difficulty. And I think that's one of the key things that everybody needs to start paying attention to is with online activity, you need to start building trust. Like I can tell you this is kind of like the way like even meta algorithms and such work, is like if those people go and become a lead on those websites, Meta pretty much knows it for the most part. And then they're likely getting also sucked into their platform and becoming leads over there. And if you have people that are better at building that trust and rapport, even before they get on the phone and things of that nature, that does make a big difference. So that's something just to kind of keep in mind with our process as well. Now, obviously, there are other things that have to do with the market. Like if there's inventory issues and stuff like that, nobody can fix that. Zillow can't fix that. We can't fix that. And, that stuff is kind of what it is to a certain degree. So everybody faces, the same market challenges to a certain degree, right? Every market's also a little different. Although in general, the trends aren't, it depends on the way you look at data. It's not like it's that different. Now, as far as the teams and stuff go, tell me, when you say you have teams, you have like a team like in this state and a team in this state and a team in this state. Is that what you mean? Or can you
No,
explain?
I had basically 3 guys licensed in all 8 states, and we have them on a rotation.
Okay.
To get the transactions. Now we got into this initially, and your product sounds, we found about it after the fact, but the CRM we've been using is this one called Bonzo. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it.
We're not thrilled by it, but it's better than nothing, and it would take us too long to change it. But your situation being a turnkey process, I'm not afraid of getting, moving this stuff to you guys if it works. The problem is nothing's really working to any real degree. That's
Yeah.
the situation I'm trying to avoid. I don't mind getting into new processes and things like that, but a 0 outcome is not acceptable.
Is not acceptable. Yeah, totally. Which I get.
I mean, a bad result would be great right now.
Yeah. So as far as like the team and stuff go, I mean, we have lots of teams that have a variety of situations. It's not abnormal to have different states. The way we advertise it, I should also be clear. You guys sounds like you're going after owner occupied type leads, right?
Yeah.
Is that correct? Okay.
Mhm.
Just wanted to make sure I was clear on that. So we would use images that are reflective of the areas in which you are, home images in which you are advertising in. So that's I don't know if Jake talked to you about that. That's the only thing we have to be a little bit careful about, is like if you're licensed in Florida and then the other state you have, let's say, for instance, is Massachusetts, homes look pretty different in these 2 places. So we need to have separate campaigns for that. But otherwise, a lot of states have similar things, right? I live in Indiana. That's where our company is based. You go to Ohio, homes look the same, right? You go to Illinois, they look the same. Michigan, they look the same. Kentucky, look the same. Not a big deal. So that's the only little component. And I can kind of talk through some of those things. Now, as far as like Bonzo, which you mentioned, I've seen it. As far as I'm aware, last time I've been in it, it doesn't have anything. It seems like a pretty good CRM to me. It was actually one of the ones that we considered using initially, but the cost on it was really, really high. And we were able to do all the same stuff, if not more things. Actually, I believe we're able to do more things technically with what we have, and for a way smaller cost, right? So just so you know, for anybody else that might be listening, is like we literally provide the CRM that we have at cost for you guys. So you do pay for it. We do consider it a standalone like software. So you could acquire it if you wanted to and use it, even if you're not in any of our programs. But the whole reason why we decided to do it is because we're able to get it literally just at the cost it costs us to maintain it, basically.
Right. Well, the hook for us that got us in with them was the what they called their concierge service, which was miserable. It didn't pan out at all in terms of scheduling of appointments, et cetera.
Oh, do they have like a human powered thing?
Yeah, they did, but I think they even disbanded it shortly after we subscribed to it, within 60 days or so. So they're not emphasizing it anymore.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know about it. I would definitely, when it was also like 2+ years ago when we had looked at it. But yeah, in my opinion, I don't know what you pay for, but I feel like most people are paying like $150 per seat or something in that ballpark.
Yeah, it's about that.
Yeah. So our subscriptions start at $50, $49 per month, $50.
Mhm.
And you're really going to get all the same stuff. Now, the big thing with what we do is, you may have seen like some of our programs, we do include our in-house appointment setters. I did talk about them. They are an add-on for anyone, but on top of it, the key thing is like really already having stuff that's built out and proven and tested and tried and true and getting updated all the time. We've already done all that stuff. We know like every scenario and situation you're going to encounter. And that's why we really encourage people to use this. Part of the reason why. One of the reasons is because we already have everything.
Yeah, no, we have a Lead Pops website, which
Okay.
is supposed to establish funnels and all that kind of stuff. Was that something we would abandon at this point? Or
I mean, you could keep it and use it. We wouldn't use that or keep that. And do you know which program you looked at? Are you looking at or done with you or done for you? You're probably done for you, I'm guessing, but
I'm looking for a whole turnkey.
Turnkey.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, if you have lead pops and you kind of use it as like your website, I would just keep it. I mean, I think the cost on that's pretty low, and
Yep.
it depends on how you're using it. Like if it's just not something you're really using, then you probably get rid of it. But otherwise, like I don't see why you wouldn't want to just keep it, because the funnels and stuff we make are very specific for the Meta platform advertising, like down to exactly like the way we know how people are going to see it and view it. Most of them are seeing it on their phones. These are all like critical pieces of the process. There's also a lot of tech stuff, and I won't bore you with all this, but there's like API connections and all these things that have to happen on the back end to make it function properly. And we can do that with our funnels, things like lead pops and other funnel systems. Most cases you can't, and we don't know. And in fact, I don't even know if lead pops has the API connection capabilities yet. I certainly hope they do, because if they don't, they're going to encounter a big problem in the next few months when the whole internet goes cookieless. That's a whole other story. But yeah, as far as your team
So, I
stuff
mean,
goes,
I'm really looking for some instant pudding. I mean, I'd even pay for, I mean, I'm paying 20 grand a month in leads for Zillow and get nothing. So I'd pay more if I had some instant pudding out there where I could get a half a dozen loans per month and make things go. So I'm not sure why I can't find that solution, but
yeah, well, I think you might be talking to it. I mean, if you had 20, I wouldn't even tell you to put 20K on it between 3 people, unless you guys are you guys, is that all you guys do for the most part, is just like making leads? You don't do like boots on the ground type stuff?
no, we don't have anybody doing that right now.
Okay, so it's all lead based. I mean,
Yeah.
so and that's the other thing. Like usually, if you look at the ultimately like the cost per lead that you're paying from any place that sells leads, it's usually going to be higher than what it is from an advertised standpoint by generating leads for advertisements, especially when you have more states. So the cool thing, and I don't know if Jake brought this up for you, applies to anyone, is that the more areas we advertise to simultaneously, the cheaper the cost per lead becomes. And I know that sounds weird. A lot of people are like, well, that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't add up. Usually if you do, this thing or that thing, it actually gets more and more expensive. That's just not the nature of online advertising. Bigger net we cast, the more the algorithms in those machines can get smarter and work better and faster and do better work for you and bring the cost per lead down. So sometimes I see agencies that are similar to us charging like a bunch of extra money for different areas, really not needed. I don't know why they would do that other than just for selfish reasons, and that's not something that we do. So we do allow people to go into as many territories as they want. We don't like say, oh, you can't go here, you can't do this, you can't do that. Actually, we encourage you to go broader. The one little caveat that I mentioned earlier is if you're advertising in areas that have vastly different looking homes, then we do have to break you out into a different campaign. And so that may change your cost structure a little bit. I can break that down a little bit more, but you can even tell me if you want, like what are the 8 states you guys are in currently?
Yeah, I mean, real quick, we're PA, New Jersey, Maryland, Virginia, North and South Carolina, Florida, California.
Okay. Yeah. So for the most part, other than California and Florida, they're probably close enough. We can make all that work as one joint. California and Florida, we can oftentimes make that work as well, because they both have the Spanish style homes, tire roofs and stucco and stuff. So, I
mean, I think Jake's done a hell of a job staying on me to get me to do some different things, but I think I may need a little more customized approach towards this thing, and
sure,
trying to determine what we can get out of it, I guess, and how fast, because it is, to me, it's, I guess I can't afford to do something else or not do something, but I can't afford another mistake in terms of a marketing program. And I don't know that I can wait 60 days for something to start to show up. So that's my next conversation, I guess, is
yeah.
Is there a way to go after this stuff, even if it costs a little bit more? I'd be willing to pay it just to get some deal flow.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, as far as our process goes, I mean, he may have told you we have about a 7 to 10 day turnaround time from the day you say, yep, let's go. And that's just the building out of your systems and things of that nature. We'd be able to start generating leads within the first 24 to 48 hours after that. We always launch people either on the 1st of the month or the 16th. So we have what you might think of as a sprint cycle in the company. So basically every 2 weeks, just a little bit, months aren't exactly 4 weeks long. So 1st and 16th. So that's when we launch people. Leads will start coming in pretty quickly. You should start having conversations. We just are always very clear. Like in most cases, you're encountering people that haven't, again, if you saw my stats that, 95% of them don't have a realtor yet. They're a little bit early enough in the process that I wouldn't expect most people to close anything. Definitely not in the first 30 days. If you have a high lead flow, you're probably going to have enough enough leads coming in that you might have one of those people that are just like in that situation where they're able to close within the first 60 days. But if people don't have a realtor yet, usually that means they need to get the loan. They need to have that conversation. They need to figure out like, what is that even like? A lot of them are first time buyers. They don't know anything about the process, or they know very little, or what they know could be wrong, if that makes sense. And so it does typically take a little bit of time. I mean, I usually tell people expect a 90-day turn time before you're actually closing leads. And it's just strictly for that factor. There's no way we can't change the steps of the equation, right? The lead is generated. You have
if
that.
I have locks, I'll be satisfied. I don't need, and the deal doesn't need to close, just loans locked in.
Yeah. And that, which is definitely doable. Yeah. But I would just try to point out people, leads generated, you got to have the conversation. Then you got to get the app. Then you got to get the docs, get them to a realtor. They go shop, and you never know how long it's going to take to find a home, right? Especially if it's an inventory issue. So maybe they put in an offer, doesn't get accepted. They have to go, all these little things that just go into the play of like, closing a deal. That basically takes a elongated time. It has nothing to do with interest and desire to get a loan and to buy a home and stuff like that. It just has to do with all those little pieces of the equation. So, but yeah, as far as us generating leads pretty quickly, I mean, that's not a problem at all. And then again,
with protecting the innocent here, but would you have somebody set up as I described in your grouping now? And would you have any recent statistics on them, on leads provided and seller conversions or any of that kind of stuff?
So we might. I mean, I wouldn't have anybody specifically like that I know of that are specifically like in the late stage or even remotely like exactly those ones. Most of our clients, they do usually stick to their local market. And that's largely because a lot of them are trying to take advantage of the realtor aspect of it and feeding out the deals to.
Well, that's kind of the challenge that I'm looking at is, do I take this and break this off, take one guy and run with him in each locale? The only advantages, or the advantage that I would have to Pennsylvania, New Jersey, I own a title company, so that would create more income potentially if we just zeroed in on that marketplace. But I don't know whether
which states you said Jersey,
PA, Jersey. Pennsylvania, New Jersey.
Okay.
That would be the only thing, if you felt that was a better way to run it.
I mean, if you can double dip on a thing, then yeah, I mean, I would say that there's definitely benefit to that. I mean, I know we have a lot of teams that are co-marketing teams, or like, the spouse is a realtor, the other one's a loan officer, or, sometimes people come in together. So obviously for them, it makes it a lot easier to make this work like quick.
No, I guess what I was talking about is just take one loan officer and run your system with that person in one market.
You could for sure. And then you can plug in other people later if you wanted to.
To me, the wider shot made it better because you shouldn't have to deal with different, nuances of each marketplace, right? If Pennsylvania's slow, New Jersey could be fast.
Yeah. There's that. The only thing I would say with that is if you have, we want to make sure like the coaching stuff that we do is really important in my opinion. And I don't take any offense to what I'm about to say, but sometimes I find that people who've been working leads from some XYZ source or whatever, and they've been doing it for a long time, they get really set in their ways and they're not.
Question about it.
Yeah. And they're not willing to adapt to what we know actually works and what's required. As I mentioned, like I cannot stress enough, the way leads are and what it takes to convert leads these days has absolutely changed. And what I would say is that sometimes if you have like two people you can make a comparison. I mean, I definitely see that on teams where like one person doesn't seem to be able to do anything. The other person's like killing it. And usually if we look at like the way they're doing stuff, usually the person that's killing it is following our process that we know works, and the one that's not is not following that process. And so that's the key thing. We'll help you guys to the end of earth. Again, and that's why we have 6 hours of coaching calls every week, is to make sure that like we get you super, super dialed in to both the systems, the processes, all the things that need to go into this to really be able to convert leads. But I can't ultimately force anybody to do what they need to do, right? So sometimes having 2 people gives you the ability to compare, like, oh, well, look, Joe over here is really, killing it. Mike over here is not so much. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Do you do the work the leads as well, or do you just have
No,
to?
that's
manage
another
the whole thing?
challenge. I'm not involved, but
Okay.
maybe
Yeah, and that's one of the benefits, though, I would say, is like, so what we often try to encourage, like the managers or the people who invest or whatever in their program, if they're not, especially if they're not doing it, it's kind of like mandate for their team members, like, look, I'm investing in this. You need to show up to XYZ number of calls, and we usually recommend no less than 3 per month. And if they can show up to more, that's even better. We actually track all that stuff too. So you could even ask us like, hey, did Mike show up to the call this month? Did he show, how many calls did he show up to? And we can tell you, oh, well, he showed up to none. Right. Or, oh, he showed up to 8. So, okay, cool. So things like that, we can help. And that does alleviate.
I think these guys are hungry enough. They'll do whatever they have to do right now.
Well, I hope so. I know sometimes people say that, and then I watch them not do any stuff too. Like, well, but yeah. What am I answering?
I'm the only one on the call now, so I guess this is a personal session.
It's personal. It's a nice person.
I guess I'm anxious to try to get something going, and I'd love to see some. If there's anything else you can provide me to show that this is working and working well, besides just listening to you, because you're impressive to talk to or to hear from. But I've been here before. The Bonzo guys felt that our guys were inexperienced when we started with them, which they were. Then I went out and hired a team of very experienced people who the only thing they keep telling me is they hate Bonzo. So,
well, that's interesting. And some people are tech averse. Again, I haven't really used it. When I looked at Bonzo, it's hard for me to say like how user friendly it is.
I think it's cool. I think it's just the whole idea of the contact happens, the text goes out. That these guys are a little bit more old school, where they want to talk to you on the phone and get nail the situation down. And I think the balance is somewhere in the middle.
I 1,000% agree. The balance is somewhere in the middle for sure.
I personally would not do a mortgage app without, via text. I don't know why.
Yeah, most people. Yeah, and I'll tell. I mean, I can give you like our core tips is like. So what I find is that if people are a little bit old school and they just like bang the phones, you can overbang the phones on new leads because people get turned off by that these days. Like we're in 2023. Like if you can even go and look at all this data like yourselves, like outside of what we do, is that communications have completely moved over to messaging platforms or text. And that's where most people start conversations. Right. And so what I see sometimes, like with the people that have come from like the old school lead stuff, like calling people usually turns people off as opposed to text conversations. We know that texting is where most of the by and far, most of the conversations start, not email and not even phone calls. That being said, you do have to have phone calls. And we also know and it may sound contrary to what I'm saying, is that most people do not fill out an app from a text. They may even say, yes, I'll fill it out. I'll do it. You send it to them, and it does become more difficult to do that. So there's that balance is like, we need to get them on the phone at some point and then try to capture the application. Usually once you get the application on the phone, the ball starts to roll forward. And honestly, if someone's willing to do an application on the phone, the trust and rapport is probably already high enough that they're going to move forward, unless some weird life stuff happens. You can't change, you can't fix that, right? Suddenly spouse dies or crazy stuff happens, things like
Right.
that. Yeah.
I mean, I know you can't give me guarantees, but can you get me closer to reality and say like what my expectation should
Well,
would be if I throw this up?
yeah, well, our done for you program, if you look at our the 3-month option, we do actually have guarantees. So first off, we do guarantee your lead quantities. You may, based on what you're telling me, you may actually want higher leads or more leads, not higher, more leads than what we're would provide there, which is fine. We have a lot of clients that spend more than our minimums, right? So if you're like, no, I don't want 250 in 3 months, I want 500. Okay, absolutely doable, especially for the amount of territory. Even if you stayed in Pennsylvania or in Jersey, for instance, which may be a good idea since you have the title company stuff. And then the other thing is we do guarantee at least, basically what we're guaranteeing is at least a 4% conversion rate over a period of time. So we do have you stretch it over basically like 4 months, because it does typically take like 3 to up to 3 months before you finally convert those leads. So those are guaranteed. And if you don't,
Is there anything that can be done to shorten that window?
not from a guarantee standpoint, but can you close more? Yes. I mean, the way to shorten the window is really generating more leads, right? Because what you're going to find is that you have leads are going to be in one of 3 buckets: ready now, soon, and later, right? So what I consider ready now is like within the next 30 days. Soon is within the 30 to 90 day mark, and later is 90 plus. It's pretty much what it is. You have plenty of people that are going to fall in the sooner and later. The more leads that you generate, the more you're going to have the ready nows in there, if that makes any sense. And that's the best way.
I mean, how do I set this up so I don't bother with the down the road ones? Get only the ready nows.
There's not really a great way necessarily to do that. And what I understand your situation where you're trying to create a return on investment as soon as possible. In my opinion, based on like the sheer math of it, it shouldn't take that long before you at least get to break even and then start turning a positive. The reality is any marketing endeavor you do anywhere, and I would strongly encourage you to like buy into this concept. I don't care if it's with us or anybody else, is that you are building momentum. You're putting people into, the bank of the future. So like, let's say, you get 100 leads per month, 10 of them are good to go in 6 months. 5 are ready to go in the next 3. And then you have, the math's off there, but you know what I'm saying? You have a small percentage are ready now. Like this really builds huge momentum. This is what I always try to tell people is like, anybody that stays with their program for 6 months, they almost never leave. Or if they do leave, it's years later when they've built up enough momentum in their business that they just don't even need leads anymore. Now, I understand you guys are kind of a lead shop, so that may be a little different in your scenario. Whereas I would say most of our clients are not lead shops. They're mixed. They're using this as a supplement. But the key thing is just like, if you understand what I'm saying, is that like, if you have leads now, soon, and later, your sooner and later's keep building and building and building and building and building. And then by the time you've reached that 6 months, you're banging out deals every single month. They're just falling in there all the time.
Yeah, I got a year's worth of those right now that that aren't paying me. I'm paying me yet,
Are they being worked thoroughly though, like reworked and things of that nature?
I got to assume they are. I mean, they're getting calls, they're in campaigns, they're in those types of things. Whether they're the best campaigns, I have no way of measuring that.
Yeah, and that's why we go back to like us using our CRM and the automations and stuff is like, we've created all this stuff because we already know all the stuff I just told you. Like we know that you're going to have the ready soon, now, and later. So we have campaigns specifically for that. I don't know, like if you guys created your own or if Bonzo created that or whatever. Ours are all literally just based off of, thousands and thousands of loan officers, seeing the interactions with them and the automations and stuff. And that's why we are tweaking all that stuff all the time. Now, that being said, obviously, if you had generated leads, before the whole market kind of like made the major shift, rates went up, all that stuff. I think everybody, the whole industry saw a giant ripple effect, right? All those people that would have probably closed, 3 months ago or whatever, maybe they can't now, like whatever the case may be. Maybe their income's not good enough, or maybe they're still like, oh, I remember when I was trying to do this before, the rates were 3.5% or whatever. And now they're, whatever they are today, 5.5%, whatever it is. I could see there's probably still people waiting on the sidelines. However, the one trend that I'm seeing currently is that people seem to be caring less about that, and maybe just realizing, it seems like they're realizing like, okay, there was a pocket of time, we passed it, it's probably not going to happen again, right? We're not going to have those rates in the threes and low
Right.
fours and stuff. So, and it's true, right? I mean, hey, the cost of renting is 100% financing, right? 100%. So yeah. I don't know if that helps, but yeah, I at the end of that, I mean, I don't want to paint like a really unrealistic scenario where we're like, yeah, you're going to just close a bunch of stuff the first 30, 60 days. If you have enough runway to understand what we're doing, like I'm telling you, it does work, but the runways, it's an important part of the process. Again, I cannot stress enough, people who stay here for 6 months continue to do this typically for years. So.
All right. Well, the only thing I guess, if there's something that you could give me something on the, maybe the first quarter stats or last month stats, something like that would be great. And then I'll move to the next level here with Jake, I guess.
Okay. Yeah. I'll see what we can dig up with some of our other clients as far as like stats and stuff.
Is there anything I can give you to show you what our how we're set up operationally to kind of maybe trigger something, say, hey, this is the way we ought to go after this? Or you guys have it pretty much?
Yeah. Yeah, potentially. The thing is, what I don't have a lot of experience in is working leads from like Zillow and all that. So there could be little tiny nuances. That's kind of the key thing too, is like, we know the whole entire experience that the lead has had, right? They scrolled on Facebook. They probably did something somewhere that made Facebook say, oh, these people, they want a mortgage. They're trying to buy a home right now. It could have been they went to Zillow. That could have been they did this, that. There's a billion things they could have done that triggers that audience thing. So they scroll, they see your ad. They're like, okay, we know what we've said to them that made them say, you know what, I'm going to fill this out. I'm going to see what we can get done with this company, with this team, with this person. And then, so our automations are all very in alignment, like the whole process is in alignment with itself. Whereas what is happening with Zillow and Bankrate stuff is a little difficult to say. Like your leads over there, they may be behaving a little bit differently. And so what I would encourage is trying to understand that as well, as like, what is the behavioral differences and how do we adapt our automations? Because you may want to automate differently between those two sources. I don't know for sure. Now we have a lot of clients that bring in leads like that and they rework them through our system. And I mean, like all the time people are doing that.
Would there be anybody in your done for you bucket that last month you didn't meet the required outcome to, and you're extending into the next month or whatever?
Not that I'm aware of at the moment. We do have a lot of, I know you said done for you. We also have a lot of done with you clients. I mean,
that's what I meant. Done with you. I meant the one I'm talking about.
Well, I think you're more interested in the done for you. The done with you is where they own their,
whatever one I'm talking about, where you guys do it all.
Yeah, done for you. Yeah, so we do it for you.
That's where you commit to the 50 or so leads or whatever it was.
Yeah, you're renting the system. Yeah, so I mean, honestly, I mean, just based off of what you're saying though, like with your team and your needs and stuff like that, I would encourage you to, and I'm not trying to like upsell you here, but I think you need a higher lead volume than what you may be talking about our pro plan, which is the one that you basically have no guarantees. It is month to month. You can totally try it if you want to, but you can spend more than the ad spend that we have.
I'm not worried about that. All I'm talking about is, have you guys come up short anywhere that you're recently?
Well, no, we don't come up short. Here's the thing with so in the pro plan, we don't really have any guarantees, right? This is like go ahead, you can try our system and program. It's month to month. We know we're going to generate everybody like plenty of leads. The more states you go into, like, it wouldn't surprise me. Like if you did, like even spent the bare minimum $1,000 across Jersey and Pennsylvania, I would not be surprised if you got 100 leads. I don't want to tell you for sure you'd get 100, but you would definitely be higher than 50. I can tell you that much.
So that's
But if you're
100 pre-approvals. Is that what you're saying?
no, just leads in general. Yeah, no, you wouldn't approve 100% of them. That's for sure.
Right.
No, that won't happen. Yeah, our goal is really to get you above 5%, but we know that it's pretty realistic to at least have you at 4% as long as you're following the process
Mhm.
and over enough time period. So what I don't want people coming into the program is like doing it and saying, oh, I'm not at 4% in 30 days.
Mhm.
You won't be because when you think about it like that, you're assuming all the leads are coming in on day one, which is
Mhm.
not the case. So there's always the delay between that time period. And in my experience, you actually have a pretty strong 90-day window to convert leads that are especially home buyer leads. Different leads are different, right? Like refi leads, it's not a refi market right now, but those you got 30 days at best. And usually it's more like 20, 15, 20 to convert those leads. After that, they're gone. You're not going to get those again. Right. But home buyers tend to have a little bit longer fuse. And sometimes it takes longer. And so that's kind of the key too, is that some leads you're going to talk to the day they become a lead. Some leads, it's going to take a week. There's going to be a few in there. It's going to take 2 weeks. There's going to be a handful. It takes 3 weeks to actually having a meaningful conversation with them before you get an app. And that's kind of what I'm saying about all this stuff. Like, so someone comes in and they're like, yeah, I'm interested, but I'm not really going to buy anything probably for 3 to 6 months. They're probably not like anxious to jump on the phone with you. Doesn't mean it's not going to happen. It just means it's probably not going to happen today with that lead.
Right.
It could be, and there's always an exception to the rule. There's always the guy that's like wants to buy a home next year, but he wants to talk about it today. Okay. I mean, you'll have those. Like it's just how averages and stuff work. It's just pure mathematical averages. But yeah, but if you go on a program where we have our guarantees, I mean, we stand by those like 100%. Like even if you were to give us, the money that we say, okay, we need this in ad spend to generate these leads. If for some reason that's not enough money, we just come out of pocket. So like we never don't hit the mark, if that makes sense. We're like, all right, we'll just pay for it. That's just how it is. We made the guarantee. So we'll.
Yeah, my question is, have you had to do that
Yeah.
recently?
No. But if we did, it wouldn't be your problem, right?
Right. Okay.
Yeah, we do stand by our guarantees for sure. And I would encourage, like I always try to encourage people to, like, if you have any doubts about like our program and the way we work and stuff, you're more than welcome like to sign up and then delay your onboarding, and you can join our coaching calls. That will give you an opportunity to see the way we work. You can see how other loan officers are doing. You can see other loan officers on calls and things of that nature. So you get a real firsthand experience. We do want to make sure at least you've signed the agreement and paid. And if you said, no, I have a bad feeling about this, I've never had this happen, but if you did, totally fine. And you could say, okay, I'm out. I don't want to do it. As long as we haven't initiated any real work with you guys, I don't have any problems with it. At least you have your foot halfway in the door. You can at least have an experience with us. So I understand, you don't really know us from anybody. We're just somebody at this point in time. So I get it.
Okay. All right. Let me go through a few things on my side, and I guess there's nothing else I can provide you to look to show you our business. Then I'll.
I mean, it's a little hard. I just don't, like I said, I just don't know enough about the little tiny things that make a difference when it comes to lead conversions for me to say, like, and the other thing is I don't know your tool like well enough. Like if you gave me our tool and you said, hey, I used it for Zillow leads or whatever the case would be, then yeah, I could definitely look at it pretty easily and say, okay, well, I wouldn't have done this, wouldn't have done that. I would do this. You're missing this thing, just little components like that. Like what I would tell you, what I would encourage for you guys, if you don't have it. And I think Bonzo has, like I said, I think it has most of the same capabilities. I don't think it has the speed dialer part, but I think it can do like voice drops. It can do video, emails, visual texts. If you're not doing stuff like that, I would definitely try to get all different types of touches that you can inside of your campaigns, if that makes sense. Do you have that going on right now?
They have that. They do. They are big on text message gifts and all that other kind of stuff. They feel like that get your
The-
looked at.
The key though is, so a lot of times I've seen other people get like pre-built systems like that, and sometimes what they include is not really personalized enough. Like it could be like a GIF of like, I don't know, a dancing banana in front of a house or whatever. It's not really building that. In my opinion, while that's funny and nice, it's not building trust with your consumer. So I would make sure that things are personalized. Same with, I've seen other people have like these campaigns like in other CRMs where it's like that shoots out a video, but the video is like the cartoon style video. There's
Right.
nothing wrong with those. That's not you talking. It does not give the person the experience of working with you. Like, and that's kind of the key with like actual voice drops and videos and imagery and stuff like that. Like we encourage people to, you know, do those types of things because that does make a difference. It does give people the opportunity to look at, you know, say, oh, you know, I got this video from this guy. Let me listen to what he's saying. Like, oh, cool. You know, that you get a vibe from people, right?
Right.
And as long as your people can, you know, portray a good personality and, you know, and trust and the way they communicate, then you should absolutely be using those things, in my opinion.
So your software would be able to put me in a round robin and have assign these guys a lead, and then would just go to each one and change.
Yeah, the round robin is while we've never, it can do first to claim. Nobody uses it that way though. Everybody uses the even distribution. So
Right.
even distribution can be any size of team: 2 people, 5 people, 20 people, whatever.
Okay. And it can differentiate by state. If I got
Can
one of my guys doesn't have a Florida license.
neither of them have?
One guy doesn't have Florida.
There's ways we can do that. What we would typically do, and it would still kind of have to be this way anyway, is because let's say you run a Jersey and Pennsylvania campaign, then let's say you have a Florida campaign. This is just an example. Those would be 2 separate campaigns. And again, that has largely to do because we do use a lot of home images so that the homes look, you know, accurate for the location. You don't want to show them a Cape Cod house down in Florida. They'll be like, what's this? I moved away from there.
Right.
Right. to join the sun. So you'd have that. And then what we would do is we can create round robin teams from each section, right? So, okay, here's my Florida one. And so that could be different people. It could be, you know, it could be Steve and Mike. And this one could be, you know, Bob and you know, Mike or whatever. And it can be even the same people. Like Mike could be in this team, but he could also be in this team.
Gotcha.
If you wanted it that way.
All
Does that
right.
make sense?
Yep.
Yeah, we can do pretty much almost anything you can think of as far as like the logistical automation standpoint. So
Okay.
hopefully it's helpful. I know it's a lot of info.
Very much
but
so. I appreciate your time. Like I said, I didn't realize it was, I guess I originally was talking about trying to get a custom session with you, and I guess I ultimately ended up with
well,
that.
you did. You
Worked
have.
out.
All right. Well, hopefully I've answered some good questions for you. You definitely have some great ones. But yeah, so appreciate it. If you didn't have any others, then
Yeah, I'm good.
I'll
for
run out
now,
of things
and,
to say.
You know, we'll kick some more things around and see where we're at and see which way we want to play this. But I appreciate
Awesome.
your time.
Thanks, Joe. I appreciate you jumping
Thanks.
on today.
All right.
Thanks. All right. All right, Eddie, you can cut us out.